What is up, guys? Fato82 coming at you with some footage from the US Rustopia server. This is a vanilla Rust server on a 1-week wipe cycle, and this is about 2.5 days real life into the wipe cycle. So this happened on Saturday, and this footage was from Saturday night on Rustopia. It's a very active night. It's often referred to as Purge night. The groups are out and roaming, they're fighting with one another, they're skirmishing. And this was intended to be an episode of A Day in Rust, but I had to stay longer at these scenes to see if larger raids were going to play out. You never know how things are going to evolve, guys, so lots of time is spent spectating and recording to be able to bring stuff to you like this. But getting right into it, the first little scene we're taking a look at here is a shack that's getting raided. It is called Potato's Pleasure Shack, I believe it said, or Pleasure Palace outside. So I'm not sure if it's a reference to me, guys. Sometimes the trolls will call me Potato82, but if it is cool to you, good on you for doing that, because I guess when you get signs made about you, you know you've made it, right? But it could just be a character named Potato too, but either way, it's cool and I don't give a shit. So getting into it, guys, this is the base of the NOS clan, or the compound over there is the NOS clan. They're the ones who are trying to get into this little wood shit shack here, which is occupied by KOR, who are the invaders. I don't think KOR was trying to set up for a raid here. They don't really have the resources or the manpower to even begin to go towards that compound. But they were probably out roaming and got up into this building somehow. That's my best guess. They could have come by way of roof or access those doors downstairs. I'm not sure who owns the doors downstairs in terms of who can access those code locks, because it's a little bit unclear in the footage, but I believe the doors are by NOS, so the house is still retained by their ownership in terms of the doors. But if you notice, a moment ago KOR was trying to place down some type of deployable, so it looks like they have building access in there. They may have been trying to wall off that open spot or throw down something like a barricade so that when the members fell on it, it would be harder to get into that area. Back at the main compound here, this is Destiny's compound. He built it with the NOS clan, it looked like here, and they got raided pretty hard the first couple days into the wipe. I think about 3 or 4 times they got almost wiped, and that's really stressful to come back from. So look at the fact that they not only came back from that but thrived from that. They said they were going to bring a fight this wipe cycle. It might be Destiny's last time on the server, and if so, they're certainly going hard, and we'll take a look more at that in Rust Cribs this week. But looking at this footage, you can definitely see that a lot of building was going on and lots of paranoia because they're expecting people to come their way. So inside that shit shack, that palace down there, that pleasure palace, Potato's Pleasure Shack down there on the beachhead, you can see that the KOR members are holding that mid-level floor. They have some members posted up downstairs on the entry door, so if that's opened, they can take some shots and take people out. They also have to worry about that hole in the base, which is really the point where everybody's coming into the base trying to get them out of there. It's really important, guys, if you have anybody come around your compound and start building or take over one of your buildings, even if it's just a little resource shack, you don't want to let them stay in there too long. The more they're able to build it up and fortify it, it can become a real problem. So building next to a compound, you know, if you're building a structure that's going to be a sniping tower or just anything that's going to give a group grief, they need to kind of remove it quickly. And that may be what NOS is doing here, or what they're just doing is, you know, skirmishing with these players. But either way, KOR is doing a great job of holding it down, and NOS is doing a great job of keeping the push on them. The fighting outside is really minimal at this point. It's not really going on much at all. And the fighting on the ground floor, the first floor, there is the occasional door that was opened and gunshots that would go off. But with the raid cams, with the free cam footage, guys, it's very hard to be in every place at every moment. So you have to kind of really predict player movement and figure it out. But you can see that on the entry point here, it looks as though the NOS clan is not coming through those doors. Now that may be because it's easier for them to get sniped off that way, but they may not have access to it too. So I'm really just unsure who has access to the first floor. But the fight goes on here into the night. Members are continuing to jump on the roof to gain access to this area. Some are dropping to their death, others are making their way over, and the fighting continues down on the mid-level floor. We got some KOR members going down. We got some NOS members going down. We have a lot of shotgun battles going on down here. The shotgun, guys, if you're not familiar, was buffed recently. The spread pattern's tighter, and it's much better for CQB, and it's eating people alive in this location. So don't come in that location holding a bolt. That's not going to be smart, because the damage out of the bolt isn't going to be at its greatest right away. So you're going to want to make sure that, you know, for close range encounters, you're really using, if you can, some type of a shotgun or SMG. The AKs even will have less impact in these areas, but still very, very effective. So the fighting continues into the night. It's always good to see these PvP skirmishes. a Nas member goes down here. KOR looks like they were still going to be holding it down, but Nas was able to get through the door and take out the last KOR member. Simpliv is in here. He's hacking up the last sleeping bag and finishing up this little vignette. Just wanted to say, guys, it looks like there's a lot of drama going on between Destiny and other groups. I don't care about drama between groups and Rust. It doesn't interest me, but whatever your reasons are for leaving Destiny, thank you for playing on Rustopia. You guys always brought your A game. You always brought bomb-ass bases and always came out to raid. So you guys did a great job of being good Rust players, and thank you for that. Taking a look at these guys here, we have Captain Canada over here with Gentle Oath. I'm not sure if Captain Canada was proposing to Gentle Oath or if something else was going on there. But these players are doing some things right. They have matching pieces of headgear on so they can identify themselves easily, which is great for target acquisition, but they're probably going to be dead soon with the groups roaming. The next players we spectated on again were some players who were camping outside a location that was actually the base of KOR, who we saw initially raiding Destiny's base and NOS over in the first little vignette. Their base here may be some type of a forward operating base preparing for a larger raid, or it may be their main base. Have no clue what's going on there. But what gave it away was probably the smoke that was coming through the end of the base there. They probably thought it was hidden with the rocks, but you can still spot that at night, and those doors were being camped. Luckily for them, they didn't open the door, because if they did, they would have been taken out probably pretty quickly, and they did leave all their doors open, which makes the airlock ineffective. That's a mistake, guys. I had to learn the hard way, so always make sure you're closing up your doors, or otherwise there's no point in having the airlock. Moving on over to the next group we were taking a look at, or the next players, it was CML, the slaves specifically. Not sure what they were doing on that foundation. Could have been some type of a ritual or a test, but I have a theory on that later, which I'll get into. But moving over here to this next scene, Ray C was in here with some buddies. He was hollowing his way into a base. He was balls deep into the base, lighting shit up. Ray C is a bitchin' player, guys. If you're not familiar with him, check out his Twitch channel. And he is in here, and he just got locked into the base. So outside there was some fighting going on. NukeWand, I believe, was the player who owns the base here, and he jumped down and he spammed a high exterior stone wall, locking Ray C and a buddy inside there, and he was actually able to take out the other guy outside. So at this point in time, Ray C and his buddy have to make a choice as to what they're going to do. They're going to fight inside. They're going to try to blow their way out of the base. Not sure how much resources they have left after rocketing in there. But one of the members, Ray C's buddy, just went down, and it looks like inside here, Brandshot is bringing the loot to him. He's blowing some loot down. It falls to the ground. Love seeing that loot spray down there, guys. It's a loot bukkake. It's all over the floor there. It's beautiful. We can see an AK with the wood camo pattern there. So lots of good stuff. But as always, he's not focusing on getting the loot because he needs to stay frosty. NukeWand jumped down, took him out, and is now going through the pile of bodies on the floor here trying to figure out what's what. He probably also has to figure out a way out of his base because he just probably blocked his main entrance with that high exterior stone wall. I don't spot another doorway on the base. Maybe you guys can when you rewatch the footage. If so, leave me a comment, tell me I'm stupid. But NukeWand is throwing supplies down to his other member here, ALX, who's living with him, his housemate. I'm not sure if that was a full-on base or just a resource base. Probably was their base. But look in here, guys. We have Quinefine in here who was about to get raided, but they decided to move on, so he'll be able to retain that picture of the fish for a little while longer. And the next group we spectated on, the next time we hit that spectate command, we were back looking at CML, but they were in a different location. They were building a raid base in a very foggy area as the fog was very dense. So when you're taking this scene in, guys, just look at how that dynamic weather really does affect how Rust plays. So what's going on here is CML's building up a forward operating base or a raid base right next to the Sin Clan's base. Now, to make matters worse, or maybe to make matters better, I'm not sure how this progressed, but an attack chopper's in this area. It's not targeting CML. That's why they were stripping down earlier to come out and look at it without getting targeted. It looked as though, to me, like some players in the hills engaged this attack helicopter, and it started hovering in this area. It could have spawned right off this coast and just started here, or it could have been drawn in even by the Sin Clan members. If they thought they were getting raided, it would be smart to draw a helicopter to their location. Even though their base might sustain some damage, it might also target the raiders and blow open that raid base. So this was really interesting to see, guys. It's always fun to see when a helicopter shows up, but it often doesn't show up right when a raid base is being built. So this is somewhat unique footage to look at. As the helicopter goes down, you have the members of the group in the hills who are, it looked like to me, targeting the helicopter, coming down to try to loot that helicopter. They're battling directly with the Sin clan, who's up in the main tower inside that base. As that's going on, co-occurring over here is the CML clan with their slaves building up that raid base, that forward operating base. They are taking advantage of the chaos of that helicopter going down and feverishly buffing up their forward operating base. The Sin clan now has to consider what is the bigger priority here. Are they going to be battling over that helicopter drop and worrying about the players down there, or are they going to be worrying about CML? Now, with probably what's going on in the mind of Sin right now is they really don't know what's what. They know that there's a helicopter down and there's a group, but to them, everybody's considered hostile. So really at this point, they have to just focus their fire on anything that's moving. The helicopter, of course, is much less important than taking out a raid base. The helicopter is kind of a whatever thing, but the raid base, that forward operating base that's being built, is going to cause them many, many issues. It's probably also packed full with loot and supplies. I would consider the raid base a much more important target than the helicopter. Up in the hills here, the guys who targeted that helicopter and brought it to this location are staying up in this location, using that fog to their advantage to be shrouded by it, and also sending fire back down towards the main compound. They spotted a lone wolf who was up here trying to get a base established, shot him in the head, so rip to that guy. They also despawned his wooden hammer, so absolute savages. Moving back down to the main compound here, which is, again, Sin's compound. The fires for the attack chopper, they're burning out. That's becoming less of an issue. As soon as that loot's acquired, that other group's going to take off and not stay in that location. CML, again, is feverishly building up that raid base. They're taking no time here, and they're putting it up. Notice that they're putting windows in this location. That's so that they can shoot out of them and make it a combat-effective forward operating base. Rather than just a raid base that was one to house supplies and spawn points, it also has offensive capabilities. The other thing, guys, just to get a little bit off topic for a moment, though, is auto turrets can really be used offensively now, guys. They've been buffed quite a bit. You can throw them down in bushes. You can put a foundation down, throw it down in a bush, and surround it by the prison bars, and it'll be quite a fierce opponent. It'll actually shred through people if they open up a door, so that would be used to shred through people as soon as they open up a raid-based door, especially if there's only one entrance. Try it out, guys. I think you'll really be surprised by those results. So CML here is now preparing for war. They're gearing up. They're all color coordinated and matched up with their bone armor and their green hoodies. That's something, guys, that goes without saying. It's always smart to do. Here's where the issue is, guys. My computer crashed, and by the time I logged back on, this is where we were. Lots of bodies had piled up. We missed some good fighting here, but I was still happy I was able to capture some of it and show it off. Explosions were going on left and right. They were using grenades, and they had hollowed their way into the core of Sin's base. The problem here is they still have to figure out a way to get up. They can boost, but it only goes so far. And the way that Sin placed their doors, it's very hard to navigate this base. So the fighting here is really focused on a main shaft in the base here. You'll notice that CML's shooting Sin members down from this location. They're falling down. They have members back at the forward operating base guarding that location. And I'm not sure exactly how this played out, guys, but it was my understanding that a lot of fighting went on here. There were counter raiders who came in, and this fight went on for quite some time. And from my understanding, Sin was able to keep the base. I'm sure in the comments, the members who were here, both on the side of CML and on the side of Sin and the counter raiders, will be able to fill in some more backstory there. But you can see that it was absolutely brutal, guys. Bodies were piling up. It was a house of carnage. And that's always fun to see in Rust, and really highlights how Rust is a PvP game. So it's always important to be tightening up those PvP aspects each week, even if they're small little things with, just tightening up hitboxes, because it's a very, very intense and visceral PvP game, and players expect a lot of precision with it. And it's very fun too, guys. So as always, guys, really hope you enjoyed this episode. This was intended to be a Day in Rust series, but it went on for a bit longer. So this was Saturday night on Rustopia, Purge night on Rustopia. And the purpose of these free cam videos, whether it's Day in Rust or this, is to really tell the stories of players. This is a series that takes a very long time to edit, but it is very agile, and I feel like we can capture a lot of players in a single moment. So I really hope you guys like it, and as always, I had a lot of fun making it. I enjoy editing it, and I'll keep doing this, guys, as long as you keep liking it and I keep enjoying it. So peace!